Hi, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.wordpress.com. And here we are with episode 6 with Travis again.
Hi there, this is Travis from Oddfellow's Thoughts at oddfellowsthoughts.wordpress.com.
We are sexy bitches, yeah!
All right. We are going to have a bit of a potpourri episode. We talk about a lot of different things, I think. Let's get to it. Hey, podcast listeners, it's Eric again. Just want to let you know that there was some slight difficulties with the recording after we started. And so you're missing a chunk of the conversation where Travis and I were talking about our frustrations with the lack of page numbers in comic books. And so that's where it picks up right after this.
Because when you put it in the trade, obviously you don't necessarily want the pages numbered.
But they can digitally take that out and add in consecutive page numbers in the trade. That's just silly. There should be a way. I know there's a way for them to do it, because they scan all this stuff in. They set it up. I don't know. Because
why did they?
Maybe it's just more work than it's worth to them. But it's also like this is my other pet peeve. So we have, especially nowadays with DC, I don't know about Marvel because I don't read too many of them, but they're trying to get so many books out before September that they have people coming in and finishing the books for those artists who can't get the 20 pages or 22? We're at 20 pages now, 20, right?
20.
Yeah.
Yep.
To wrap up the books that are ending and to get them all done. And then, so you're reading through here and then all of a sudden the art will change a little bit or a lot depending on the artist.
Right.
But you don't know who does what, especially when you get multiple inkers on top of pencilers. It's like, who's doing, because I like to comment on who's doing what. And I don't know their work well enough to say, oh yeah, this is so-and-so's inking.
Well, yeah, because there's tons of people in this stuff. Some of them I can't even pronounce their names.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are from something. I mean, I like to think I'm a pretty good eye of, people's art, so I can go, oh, I kind of know who that is or whatever. Or if you at least give me a list of all the people it could be, I can probably pick out who the artist is. But yeah, you're right. On some of this stuff, you've got so many fill-in people that it's like, I don't know who that is. I don't have a clue. Yeah.
I can't remember the book that I just. It's one of the ones I just reviewed, I think, where you had two different. I think it was just two different inkers. Yeah, it was the same penciler, two different inkers, and I don't know which inker inked which part of the book, but there is a difference in the art, and I liked one over the other. So it'd just be nice to be able to give credit where credit is due for that kind of stuff. But anyway. One of those minor things, I guess. Minor but irritating.
No. Sure, definitely is.
It's funny, I've been paying a lot more attention to that kind of stuff since I've been doing the blog, and it's just, it's something that I recognized when I read before I was paying that much attention, obviously, but now I just find it irritating when I don't know these things. And I wish the companies would be a little more, I don't know, helpful.
Mm-hmm. So,
hey DC, you should help me make my blog better.
That's right. Well, it only helps them, I think.
Oh yeah.
The more people that write and talk about it, even if sometimes it's negative press, the more people who talk and write about what they're doing, the better it is for them.
Oh yeah.
It has to be. And we're free advertisement of one sort or another.
Yes, we are.
Do you find yourself getting more books based on who the creators are than the characters as you get older?
Yes, I could say that. There are certain creators I tend to follow no matter what they're doing. Not that I buy everything they do, but I will definitely. I see their name associated with something, and I go, yeah, I'm gonna look at that at least.
Right, but the characters matter less.
I don't know that I would say that.
Okay. See, for me, there's some creators, it doesn't matter what they go on to. I may have little interest in the character to start out with, but I'm at least going to read the first couple issues to see if this creative team can get me interested in whatever.
Oh, sure.
Whereas that isn't how I used to shop before. There were characters I got, and that's period. It was didn't matter who was writing them.
Well, it kind of depends on what characters you're talking about, because you have like the big guns, right? You have Superman, Wonder Woman,
Right.
Batman, excuse me, and the others at Marvel too, where it's like it doesn't really matter who the character is, because you already know these characters. It really matters who is the creative team on those characters. But then you have the second and third tier characters where, like you say, it's what is this person doing with the character that may make it interesting to me now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as far as, well, actually, I'm gonna take that back a little bit, because for me, I guess it depends on who is on Superman and Batman that makes it interesting, not the characters themselves.
That's all going to change.
But even though I like the characters.
Yeah, but that's all going to change. They're all being relaunched.
Yeah.
So it's all new and all fresh. You can't just look at those characters and go, "Oh, I know that's going to turn out."
Well, okay, so I am mildly interested in how, or what changes, I should say, what changes, what either minor or major changes they're going to make in the big characters that we all know.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm not necessarily drawn to that. I'm not drawn to the relaunch of Superman or Batman based solely on that. It's for them, it's really who is on the book. So Grant Morrison writing Superman, or I'm sorry, Action Comics is like, yes, you betcha, I will read that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing Batman?
Who's on the actual Batman title?
Yeah.
Scott Snyder.
Oh, okay.
You're crazy.
I know.
You're crazy.
You and a bunch of other people I read, they're like, Scott Snyder is so good.
Now, 10, 15 years from now, the arc that he is writing on Detective Comics will be put down as one of the classic arcs of that character. Guaranteed. Okay. It will be. When people start talking that character, it's going to be, blah, blah, blah this, blah, blah, blah that. And that's going to be one of them.
And Scott Snyder.
It will be. It will be.
Okay. And
yes,
then, huh?
Yes, but anyway, he's on Batman. Yeah.
Yes, and Tony Daniels is doing Detective. So,
yes.
Jan. I'll get him. I'll get him just to see. I keep trying to give Scott Snyder a chance to wow me, but he just hasn't done it for me.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have, what is it? Oh heck, I don't have the list now. Shoot.
What's that?
I'm trying to think of a good example of like a second or third tier character whose new book is coming out from DC that makes me go, yeah, I want to read that.
Because I don't know what you consider a second or third tier character.
Oh, like Firestorm. He's not a first tier, right? So yeah, Gail Simone on that, you betcha.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get that because of her.
Because of her.
Firestorm is always an interesting character to me, but not enough to pick up the issue or the title monthly. But in this case, I will.
Yeah. Well, definitely I mean, I'll pick it up because Gail's writing it. But then I'm a big Gail fan, so it doesn't matter to me. Pretty much what she's writing. I'm going to give anything she's writing a shot without question, at least to start out with.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Let's see here. What do you want to talk about the rest of your picks of the 52?
Sure. You want to just go straight down the list? I mean, because I have my list in front of me.
Okay.
So of course I'm going to pick up Justice League.
Right.
Did you see the picture that came out today?
No, I did not.
Of the extended Justice League?
No. Where was that at? CBR or Newsarama or
well,
what?
it's on. I know Bleeding Cool has it. I think DC Women Kicking Ass, they posted too. Somebody on a Facebook has got is part of the setup, and they posted it. So I'm not sure what the Facebook page is offhand.
Oh,
I think DC will tell you what that is.
Yep,
but
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, it has the main people on it. And of course, they're debating on who some of them are because we don't know who some of them are. So people are guessing. So you got of course, your core 7 people. I guess they're the core.
Yeah.
7 people. And then you've got your 15, not 14. Well, they said 14, but I count 15 people. So, so you've got Deadman on it and the Atom. And then one of the people I still question, people pretty much think for sure this is who it is. They say it's Elemental Girl. Or Element Woman, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Element Woman. And I guess that's her, because if you look down the very bottom corner next to, I'm assuming that's Firestorm, you can see kind of a funky looking hand, and I'm assuming that's Element Woman's hand. So, but I've seen some pictures of I'm not familiar with Element Woman. Seen some pictures of Element Woman, and I guess her headgear looks like that. Anyway, on the other side, Green Arrow, Hawkman. The other really big question everybody has is who that blonde is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people said Black Canary because, of course, she's been in the league before. Some people say, Power Girl. Some people say Zealot from the Wildstorm line.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mira down there in the very bottom corner. But so the only one I'm unsure of is the blonde. If it's Canary or Power Girl, they really changed her clothing. And I'm not familiar really with the Zealot character from Wildstorm, to tell the truth. But supposedly, we can take from that picture that that's the actual rest of them. What do you think they look like? What do you think of the look?
The main 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. As you were just talking about that, before you just asked me that, I was looking at Superman and Batman suits, and I'm going, "Oh my God!" It looks like
You don't like it?
no, it looks like armor plating on Superman. I know that's supposed to be seam. I don't know if it's seams or, like I say, it looks like plating.
Uh-huh.
And then Batman seems to have a similar look. So again, this is the same complaint that I had when we first talked about this, is that you have these 7 distinct personalities, and they're all going to have the same kind of look.
They're supposed to be a team.
I don't care.
Jim Lee said that he tweaked some of the stuff they tweaked because he wanted them to have a little more unity to look like a team. So that gives you the impression, if that's really their case, are they saying that these people, who obviously are individuals, them being the Justice League is more important than their individuality?
Bull.
I know.
You're just quoting him, but that makes
no
no sense to me.
Part of me says, I hope not, because these people are more important, in my opinion, as individuals than they are as a whole.
See that now? That's
exactly. But that would be a definite change in the way this comic reads and the way these people act and respond. That would be interesting. I've also heard from some of the roadshow stuff that's been going on, because of course every time they have the DC has one of their roadshows where they're trying to sell this to the retailers, and little bits and nuggets come out during those things. The first arc of this thing is going to be set back in time of them forming themselves,
right?
And it's set back in time to where it's not much after Superman has established himself as a superhero, of the world and whatnot, and Batman is still considered an urban myth. He's been operating for like 2 years, but he's still an urban myth. He's not somebody that's seen the bright of the daylight.
Until he joins the Justice League.
Well, yeah. How do you stay in the? I don't know. It depends on how this book is written.
Yeah.
It makes it more interesting for me, with all the possibilities of, not that I'm necessarily excited about them, but it definitely makes me interested in the title, on the different ways that they could be delivering this. If they're really going to deliver this as, they are a superhero team in the way that the old, I don't know, X-Men were a superhero team, where they all pretty much sported the same costume as a large degree. Of course, they're not going that far, but
thank God,
to make them look more like a team. So when they show up, they look, I don't know. But there's not, in my opinion, though, there's not enough here to really make them unified.
No,
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
There isn't going to be enough to make them unified.
Yes.
I mean, if that was the case, why not have them have second costumes? Why not have them have
Right.
costumes that, when they're operating as the Justice League, they all have to swap costumes or something? I don't know.
Yes,
Which
yes.
makes my opinion, but yeah.
Yeah, they should not do that, first of all. And second of
Yeah.
all, I still think it's a stupid idea. I'm okay with the collar thing.
Well, my question though
but
is well, how come Hal Jordan isn't more armored looking and the Flash isn't? Because you
right.
can't tell me these pictures. I mean, yeah, at least the ones I have aren't big enough for me to really take a really good look at them. But
Okay.
they don't look that, and neither does Aquaman.
And there's only two characters here that make that armoring up makes sense. And one is Cyborg is the obvious one, and Batman.
Right.
Superman does not need armor. That's just silly.
Maybe his clothing needs armor. Maybe
Oh my
this is a
god.
way of establishing that, when he fights against, I don't know, whoever, that he isn't instantly naked when he gets hit by the first super powerful beam that should just shred his clothes to, or is his clothes made out of some Kryptonian special something?
Yeah, who knows what they're gonna do with that?
I don't know enough about Superman. I don't know enough about this Superman to know how does his clothing survive all that.
Yeah. Well,
So
I don't know. I don't know what it is now, but it used to be that he had like a biofield
that's
around
right.
him. Yeah, that protected his clothing. But anyway,
Sure.
but okay. So
We digress.
the whole team thing, right? So that they, I don't know, that they come across as or the team aspect of the Justice League is more important than their individuality as characters, right?
Mhm.
That's what made the Justice League so boring in comparison to Marvel's stuff back in the 60s. They need to be really careful about what they're going to do with this whole team.
What made it boring?
individual thing.
Because the Justice League was more important than the individuals.
Well, it was just they came together as a team, as the Justice League, and they were basically interchangeable. They were just the costumes. It didn't matter who was there. They just performed functions. So it was plot over character.
I'm not a huge Johns fan, but he's not going to do that.
I know, but
I mean, he does a pretty decent job of writing team books, doesn't he?
He has, yes. Yeah, I know. I'm making these complaints knowing that Jeff Johns can't. I know he can do the work. I just don't like what Jim Lee is saying.
Yeah.
It just bugs me. And like I say,
Well, Jim's not writing the comic. It's
I know.
just his thoughts on why things are the way they are.
Yeah, but
I just think they're interesting.
But he's a co-publisher, and he's talking about this. I mean, this if this is what he's saying, this is what the book's going to be about to some degree.
Mm.
Although it'd be kind of nice to hear Johns talk about this stuff.
You see, I don't see him quoted as. He's like disappeared from the internet.
I know.
You notice that?
Yes,
I mean,
have.
He doesn't even make the occasional smart-ass remark about how he likes, Saturday morning and cereal. He's just pretty much since a little before the movie came out, Green Lantern came out, he just kind of disappeared. So anyway,
I'm sure.
All I've got is the little bits and nuggets that I catch from those things and what Jim Lee tweets.
I'm sure he's been very busy out there promoting Green Lantern. So.
Oh yeah, well he's been at not just that, he's been at some of these roadshows too.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is really big, important to him. Just one more note about the costumes and whatnot. I like Superman's costume.
Really?
I may not be into the seams. They don't really bother me. It just makes his muscles look more segmented.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that because I think Superman should look, muscle and whatnot.
Yep.
But he doesn't look, in this picture anyway, he doesn't look overblown, really.
No.
I mean, any more than the other superheroes do.
In fact, I don't know if this is because
of the red belt. I like the not that I ever had an issue with the underwear on the outside because I never really thought of it that way, even though everybody talks about it that way. I like his boots. Yeah, I mean, I think he looks sharp. With less red in his midsection. I not having this, that area red.
I have to say, because I miss the yellow belt, but that's just because I've grown up with it. But it's nice. Sure. The red belt makes it nice. You get that the red part of the midsection, but you don't. It's not overpowering. It's not the red shorts over the tights. So yeah, I like it that way.
And I think the Batman costume looks awesome. They dropped the glowing yellow.
Oh, thank
circle.
God!
I've always kind of liked just the black bat, even though but I'm okay with the, with the bat inside the yellow oval too, which is fine. Just not the raised glow in the dark silliness and whatnot. Yeah. And I like this current belt because it doesn't look quite as clunky and utilitarian. I understand when they do that because they want him to look, utilitarian in some sense, but nah, he's got all these fancy gadgets.
Yeah.
Why would his belt look like a bunch of big pouches?
Yeah, but that makes a lot more sense to me from a realistic standpoint than these little cartridge. See, you know what the belt reminds me of is the old belt he used to have with just they just had the few little cartridge things every once in a while around his belt, and that made no sense to me that he was able to pull out all the stuff out of that belt. But this
has got lots of them though.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying it reminds me of that, but it makes more sense the way that it's done here. But I still think that the whole big pouch thing, it makes a lot more, from a realistic standpoint, makes a lot more sense than these.
Yeah, realistic standpoint.
Yeah,
you can't use that.
Damn it, comics are real to me.
Superhero comics. Yeah, doesn't work. At any rate, but so the rest of the costumes, I don't really, whatever. Have an opinion one way or the other on them.
We'll see. We'll get used to them, or maybe they'll change them. I don't know.
Sure.
I think everybody there looks good except for Superman.
Superman. His stitches.
I don't like an armored looking Superman. I'm sure they'll explain it away and it'll make sense and all, but I just don't care for it.
Well, if you want to talk about realistic and practical, I think the fins on the back of Aquaman's legs are sillier than crap too.
What? He swims. Fish have fins. What's your problem with that?
Then that's the case. It should be going down the back of his head and all the way to his butt, not on the back of his calves.
I know.
If you're gonna try and sell that, and the little ones that are on his arms too. I mean, they're just looks. Yeah.
Yep. Well, he obviously missed the note about the team look because no one else has that.
Well, it's true, but he has a collar, right?
He has a collar, and they all. And also, did you notice that all the belts come down into a V shape,
a V,
or you have that kind of look. Cyborg less so, but you still have that kind of a belt look.
Yeah.
But everybody does.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and Hal is the only person who doesn't have a belt or a belt shaped kind of thing. At least his
the same
color,
shape.
The color break still the same shape. You're right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you now? Okay, so we've lived with the new Wonder Woman design for a while now. What do you think of that?
This current one?
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm looking forward to seeing it in action to see what it really looks like. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of a choker on Wonder Woman.
No.
Everything gets chokers, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't see how. Okay, she's wearing pants. Yay! I guess that makes some people happy and whatnot. I like the black and red.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I guess I would like more color. Like her boots are also black. I guess I want a bit more color in it, just based on her old outfit, right? But
yeah, I guess. But right. But here she's drawn like a badass, as opposed to all the things that all the writers always tried to write about. How come her costume was colored the way it was before? Mm-hmm. Now all that stuff doesn't matter because it's obviously not part of the. I mean, this picture here in particular, I think her top is a little low, but
see, that's the one thing I like about the current costume that they have going on in the Wonder Woman series. She at least has straps. That makes a certain amount of sense. It's basically the same kind of top.
Does she? I can't remember. This is how well that costume sticks in my head. And I read the comic. Do the straps go over her shoulders or just across her arms? I mean, is there actually something holding that up? Even in the.
Thought so.
Yeah, I don't have a Wonder Woman sitting right in front of me to open up and go, oh.
Well, I do. Hold on. I just reviewed the latest version, which, by the way, that cover, I really like the cover.
Yeah.
To 611, it's really well done. I think mostly by just the coloring of it, but yes, they do go over her shoulders.
Okay. See, and losing that, I think all the straps going down her arms are kind of silly.
Yeah, I agree.
In the current, but I mean, if they're looking at this from a standpoint of how could she wear that swimming suit? Well, how the hell can she wear that thing?
Exactly. Jim Lee should have stuck with the top of the current version of her suit and redesigned the bottom part
of the eagle thing in it and whatnot, and headband's fine and stuff. I don't mind the bottom half of the of the costume at all. I'm fine with it being black.
Okay. I
and
was just
stuff.
curious.
With a little bit of trim on the boot, so that you can actually tell she's wearing a boot.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's still the question about how does she operate in that top.
Yes. It's magic or boob tape. Either way.
Good boob tape, good stickum or whatever it is. Yes. Oh, holy cow.
So aside from the mystery woman that we're shown here, either that's Black Canary or somebody else, Mira in the Justice League.
It's for all you Brightest Day fans. It's got to be, right?
I guess, and
love Aquaman and love that whole.
I'm fine with her being like a supporting cast member in the title, but being a full-fledged member.
Right. So she replaces Aquaman when Aquaman's not there, right? Because what does she bring to the table other than a female viewpoint? Which, if they write the character right, hopefully she has one. What does she bring? What does she bring to the table that Aquaman doesn't?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if we want to look at the whole lineup that way, it's like I understand what some of these people bring to the table, but isn't. I mean, I don't know the character. I'm up front. I don't know the character. What does she bring that Aquaman doesn't bring? Or, I mean, or is literally what she is? She's just a replacement for him when he's not there.
Well, except she. Well, it depends on, I guess, if they do the whole he's the king of Atlantis thing, which I think that's what they're doing in the relaunch. So she's his wife, I presume still. So
they're allowed to stay married?
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe they're not.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, they are now.
I just got the impression that being married was uncool, and so therefore nobody was getting
married. Your wife isn't sitting there, is she?
Yes, she is.
Oh. Being married is cool. Remember that, kids.
I wasn't arguing the point. I'm just saying that, whereas everybody's like, oh, yeah, this frees up Superman. Now he's, more than likely not married to Lois. Of course, we don't know for sure, but, more than likely not married to Lois Lane. Woohoo! Boy, we're going to be able to write all kinds of great stories now.
Oh, yeah.
What? Superman's going to suddenly be a slut because now he's not married so they can write all these other stories? I don't know. I think it's one of the things that makes the character more interesting is the fact that he is married.
Yes, I did too. I was sad to hear that possibility being talked about. And I'm sure it's going to happen, right? Because then you get the drama of relationship stories and all that stuff.
Sure.
But come on, do we really need another?
So there's no drama. There's no drama in being married, right?
Yeah, of course.
Not at all.
Once you're married, you're dead. That's what happens, right?
Something like that. I guess.
Do we really need to go through another 75 years of Lois trying to figure out that Clark Kent is Superman? I mean, come on.
Oh, who knows? Will Lois Lane even exist?
Oh yeah, of course she will.
Okay.
Okay, so that's Mira. We ought to know about the other gal. I'm glad to see Ollie and Carter Hall in the.
Okay. You're glad to see them in it?
Yeah.
I am too. Except, how much sense does it make if we look at the solicitations for Green Arrow and he's this guy that's lawless as all get out? And, is messing with world governments in the process of him doing whatever he needs to do.
I think if they're playing him like that, then he and Bruce ought to be getting along just fine.
Yeah, you think?
Well, in my version,
Bruce,
they do.
Well, right, but
or Bruce is like Bruce is going to say, "Stay out of my way."
Right. Well,
you might be world trotting over here and playing around over here, but you better not mess with my stuff.
Right.
Well, I only say that about Green Arrow.
I just kind of wonder about him being in there if he is. Well, it all comes down to depends on how they write this team and what this team's supposed to represent.
Yeah.
They regardless of the country and the country's laws, they're just putting down whatever big bad evils out there they need to put down, or are they respecting, country's laws and whatnot, or are they just preserving their own universal law?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. You're right.
Yeah, because that's an interesting how that plays into how these people's roles really fit within the system.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
Yep. So maybe that's how Mira comes into it as a representative of Atlantis to some degree. I don't know, but
As opposed to Arthur.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to what you said. You know, what does she bring to the table that Arthur doesn't? But
Right.
I said that about
other than being a lady on the team.
yeah, more women. Yeah, they're definitely on the again minority. But and then we have okay, Deadman. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I like the character. Don't get me wrong. I like the character.
Sure.
But, and of course, I don't know what happened with him through the whole live man thing, because of course I didn't read Christ. So I don't know. I don't know what he was coming out of that. I don't know what he was coming out of that, and of course what they're going to do with him now when the whole thing changes. I really like the character, but I have a hard time seeing him in this kind of a setting.
I do too.
I've never viewed him as being that kind of a hero, that kind of a superhero. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
To be on the big team, to be part of the whole team thing. He struck me as being, he works with people he needs to work with, but being pretty much a loner kind of a person just because of his, of his situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, being dead.
It's really interesting with the focus on Deadman in Brightest Day for that whole year. Mm-hmm. And then he's he's the first storyline coming out of the DC Comics Presents, right? That title, that anthology, yeah. DC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is that? It's gonna bug me now.
It is DC Universe Presents.
DC Universe Presents. Okay.
Yep.
Whoops, I miswrote that in my last post. Anyway, but he's the first storyline in that, and now he's part of the Justice League. What? Who is it? John's? I can only guess that it's John's going. We really need to promote Deadman for some reason. I'm just trying to figure out why.
Or they've gotten enough feedback from fans saying this is a person we like.
Really? You think?
John's using his trial with him. People really liked him in the Brightest Day stuff, and so.
Well, yeah, but they had to have. I mean, they had to have. I would think, have had this planned out before that.
Before Brightest Day?
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet on that, but
yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I still don't think it was that long ago. I don't think they had this in the planning for
the relaunch.
Obviously, that could be wrong too.
Oh, I bet.
I think he used the character because the character fit with what the story that he wanted to tell in Brightest Day.
Mm-hmm. So let's continue that momentum.
Right.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Well, one of the things they said at one of these road shows and whatnot is that, and I think it was Didio that said this, was that they are the storylines with the best sales had the least amount of change in them. So that's why there's not hardly any change to Green Lantern. They're basically just picking up right where they left off from. Mm-hmm. Can't remember what else they said. Well, there are some other titles that were going to be changed less. And of course, the less the sales, the worse the sales were, the more change there was, i.e., they don't have a title anymore, kind of a thing. So obviously, Brightest Day didn't sell poorly. And if he was one of the focuses of that, every single character that was a focus of Brightest Day has a title, correct?
Hadn't thought of that. That's a good point. I'm trying now. Yeah. As you say that, I'm now going through my head all of the major characters in that story.
Huh? So if that sold well, people were excited or interested, or that had everybody's attention. Obviously, why would you drop any of those characters? See if they can maintain a comic of their own or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, but why Deadman is particularly in the jail? I don't know. Other than that. Than if he's currently a fan favorite of some sort. That
yeah. Are you excited about Deadman in general?
I'm gonna get the DC Presents.
Yeah,
but you're happy that
but you're not getting it because he's in it necessarily. You're getting it because you like an anthology title, right?
Well, I'm getting it because I like an anthology, and hey, the first however many issues is gonna be Deadman. I'm okay with that. I like Deadman.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get the Brightest Day thing because it was an event book, and as a whole, I'm not excited about event books.
No, you missed out. That was a good book.
That's what I hear.
Years from now, when people talk about event books, they're going to be talking about Brightest Day in the same breath that they talk about Crisis or something.
Wow, screwed up a bunch of stuff? Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
wait.
Well,
So, what's a good event? What would you say? You personally would say what was the best event book that you've read? Now, granted, you haven't read probably the last few between the two big companies.
No. Well, the last event book I read of Marvel's.
Yeah.
Secret Wars. Secret Wars 2. Now, I'm reading some of the spin-off of the Fear Itself, but I'm not reading Fear Itself, the actual main title.
Okay.
I'm just reading some other stuff.
See, I'm just reading the main title. I'm not reading the other stuff.
I'm reading some of the other stuff because of either the writers or the characters.
Right.
So.
Right.
You're not getting Alpha Flight?
Oh, I am, but I know they put the Fear Itself banner on there, but
Sure.
That's just more marketing than.
So you haven't read the first issue?
No, I have.
The first issue has Fear Itself stuff in it.
I know, but it's more of.
That's just to get the ball rolling, huh? I hope so.
I think so.
I don't really care about the Fear Itself stuff.
No, I mean
But I don't know. I don't have an answer to what's the best event book. I don't know. Event books have evolved since Crisis and Secret Wars anyway.
Oh yeah.
I think. I mean, now event books mess with everybody and mess with every title. That's my thing about event books that I don't like. As the fact is that everything has to tie into the damn thing and whatnot. And I understand that for continuity, and everybody lives in the same world. Therefore, when it affects the world, it should affect everybody. Agreed in some sense or another, but I don't know. One of my favorite characters, Green Arrow, was held hostage to an event book for 12 issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, boo.
Now, see,
for me, that's frustrating.
My experience, though, with the event books, and okay, granted, this is a somewhat limited viewpoint because I don't buy a lot of the ancillary titles, the related stuff. But the titles that I do buy, I haven't noticed that the events necessarily come in and affect them that much, because I think there was a lot of feedback, like you just said, from fans. Mm-hmm. That said we don't like that, and I think the company started to listen to that to a certain degree. Now, obviously, they bannered Alpha Flight more recently with Fear Itself, and they did that with Brightest Day when that was coming out too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that it affected, in any large sense, some of these other. I mean, the main titles like Superman, Batman, they probably do that more.
Less so. I guess you're right. I mean,
but I think it's definitely changed since the mid to late 80s when they were doing that stuff, where everything was involved, and so.
Well, like Countdown. You can pick up a comic where it didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That was a mess.
You're right. Well, yeah. That was the one DC event in the last, I don't know, 10 years or so that I did not get. Mm-hmm. After 52 came out, for some reason, my comic book instincts, quote unquote, were saying, don't get this. And then I didn't, and then I kept hearing all the bad things about it. Mm-hmm. And I read synopses online, and I was like, what the hell are they doing? So yeah, I totally missed that one.
Yeah. But I'm liking Flashpoint.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised I am with that.
It's been so far what I've read of it's been fun. So.
Now, what issue? We're only up to issue 2, right? On that?
That's all I've read is up to 2. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then all the sundry, other Flashpoint spin-off stuff.
Now, how many of those are you getting?
Quite a few. I think the Aquaman ones I'm not getting, and I didn't get the Reverse Flash. I'm wondering if I should have now, because I hear in that they explain what the hell he did to make the whole Flashpoint think the way it is.
And that's just a one-shot too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I may have to go hunt that down and pick it up. Trying to remember what else I'm not. I think there's something else I'm not. I didn't get the Legion of Doom one.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, I think I'm getting most of the others though.
Yeah. So have you read? Speaking of that, have you read yet the Deadman and the Flying Graysons?
Yes,
Isn't the art on that just really cool?
it is. It is. And I'm wondering if that's like colorist that does
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
That makes it look the way it looks.
I think
I
so.
was just,
To a large degree, I think so.
yeah.
But
I got a kick out of the comic. I enjoyed it. I like the art. I love the little stuff, the little things. That's one of the things I'm getting a kick out of on all of these. You don't have to know everything about the DC universe just to read these things and have an entertaining story. But if you're steeped in all the knowledge that we are, there's all the little weird things that are, the fact that they use Ragdoll and King Shark,
hmm
all that stuff's fun. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, those characters could have just been anybody. They didn't have to pick, people from the universe. They could have just been sideshow freaks. But the fact that they're those characters in particular is just amusing. In that issue in particular, I like their use of Dr. Fate in it.
hmm
And the little things that he sees. That's interesting stuff. I think you're missing something if you're not picking this title up. I think from the whole Flashpoint thing. I mean, yeah, you can read without it, but there's just lots of other little nuggets that are just, I don't know, amusing.
This
That kind of
particular
stuff.
spin-off, you think if you're not reading that, then you're missing something?
If you like the DC universe, yeah, I think so. If you're into the DC universe, if you're into the whole DC universe and all the stuff and whatnot, and you're probably one of those people that's crying over this whole relaunch, I think this is good stuff because it's got all that little things in it. It's just like the Deathstroke one is the same way. There's all
really?
these characters. I think there's all these. You're not reading that one?
That's one of the ones I did not pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked it up. I picked it up because I like the writer. But yeah, it's got lots of little things in it. Lots of villains or characters that show up in it. That I just think are fun to use in a different sort of way. If you're, like I said, if you're into the whole, DC universe and all of its little stuff, there's some fun stuff in there. There's a shot in here. I got a comic in front of me. I'm looking for it right now, where it shows Deathstroke's looking at a whole bunch of monitors of stuff that's going on all over the world about the fact the world's in chaos and whatnot. Of course, he thrives as a pirate. He thrives in that environment because it gives him more opportunity to rob and loot and whatnot. And in one of the monitors, it shows Red Tornado, a whole bunch of red tornadoes, obviously, actually. And it looks like they're all over Japan, which to me makes a certain as cool, just to not, and the character's not going to show up anywhere else, I don't think. But it's just interesting to have in the background. Here's this monitor that shows Red Tornado in Japan, which makes a certain amount of sense with the whole Japanese and the divine wind stuff and whatnot, considering the fact that he's an air elemental, basically, right?
Right.
And it's just weird, quirky little things like that, that if you're, heavily steeped in the DC universe, I think that stuff is cool. So I've been getting a kick out of most of these things because of the little things.
But you're talking about the tie-ins in general that that you're reading, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Not just like Deadman and the Deathstroke one.
No. The tie-ins in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree with you then.
That if you're into the whole DC universe, I think that they've been a fun read because of that little stuff that's there and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
I don't think. Do they what?
Does the main title and do the tie-ins and while like you say they're interesting especially if you like the DCU, but are they bringing in people? I guess I'm wondering if Flashpoint is doing its job in a way that brings people like us, the old-time readers, and also maybe even possibly new readers to transition us into the relaunch. Because I kind of see that's what this should be doing from a business standpoint. I don't think it's doing that necessarily.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think it is because my understanding, of course, granted, we don't know all the information on the relaunch. We really don't. I mean, I don't even know if the retailers that, swear to secrecy that go to these roadshow things have all the information on the relaunch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like when this relaunch happens, there's going to be hints of the whole world has changed, right?
You mean that the characters know that the world's
Yeah.
changed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So if there's not, this is all irrelevant then
Exactly.
to the relaunch.
Yeah. Except
It's all irrelevant.
except that it explains it away for people who are already reading DC Comics.
You're right. Then it's going to be then I think it's going to meet the needs, because obviously if you're reading the main title, reality's changed drastically from what we know it is, or at least wherever the heck it is that Flash is at right now has changed heavily from where he was the day before, when he went to sleep or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's changed. So obviously he's going to go through the process of trying to change it back or fix it or whatever. And we can assume that this is as fixed as it got once the relaunch starts.
Yes. I think that's exactly where they're going with this.
Sure. All these other spin-offs and whatnot, do they add to that? No. But are they...
But they might.
They might, I guess. Are they interesting elsewhere stories? If you're interested in those characters, I think so.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I'm reading them as, not that this is going to explain to me what the relaunch is going to look like, because it's not, because I think they've made it pretty clear that the characters aren't like the characters that are in Flashpoint, and they're not going to 100% be like the characters we had before Flashpoint. Right? So I'm just reading these as being, kick in the pants, alternate history, alternate reality titles. And that come September, I'm going to have supposedly fresh books to read where people are going to reapproach things differently in some sense or another.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it that way and hoping I'll be happy.
So would you characterize your expectations of September as you're excited about what's coming out from DC Comics in general?
I'm excited for some titles because titles didn't exist that I'm interested in reading. So I'm excited about those titles. And I'm really, really, really interested otherwise.
Okay.
I mean, my curiosity is definitely piqued about the whole thing. What's it all going to look like? Even the characters that I've never really cared one way or the other. I mean, I don't really care about Superman one way or the other. But I'm really curious to see what they do with him.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about that. I'm excited about the Batwoman title coming out. I'm excited about
finally coming out.
Right. Well, now at least we know why the last delay hit. I mean, the first delay was they didn't have enough stuff together. They wanted together before they started this thing.
Right.
And I was okay with that because I want to see quality work from these people, not a rushed job.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously they were ready to go, and then they pulled it because that's when they went, oh crap, we're going to do this relaunch. Let's just hold off and do this at the relaunch. That explains why we're having to wait until September now to get that title.
Right.
Extremely excited about that. I am stoked as all could be for the Dark Justice. Don't like the title of the book.
Oh, Justice
but
League
the
Dark.
Idea of the book. Yes, but I am stoked about that book. That's got all kinds of people and all kinds of ideas, I'm pretty sure, or what I'm envisioning. Now I could be completely let down because, of course, we haven't been really told that much about the book. But I love the writer, and I like the idea of it. So you're getting a bunch of, magically oriented heroes together, written by a good writer, and I'm all over that because I like the magic people of the DC universe. So.
Okay, so I'm looking at a picture of what supposedly is the cover for the first issue, and we've got Deadman in here.
Yep.
So he's in.
Makes sense to be in that. Makes sense to be in that.
Yes, but in both books.
Well, he's a liaison.
Okay, that's
Batman's in both. Batman's in 2 Justice League books. He's in
Sure.
in the So why not?
Yeah, no, I just thought it was.
And I still think it comes down to they're going to use the bejesus out of those characters that came out of Brightest Day. Because doesn't marketing say if this was a successful title, you take everybody you can that people had an interest in, and they already have an investment in, and you use them in other stuff.
Yeah, but in specifically Justice League Dark's case, the only character that came out of that really was Deadman. John Constantine came in at the very end, though. The very
right.
end.
But there's also this other title that they're putting out, and they figure that people are going to buy that tie-in, right? And Constantine is a hugely popular character from Vertigo.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to capture a certain amount of people who are who read both. I mean, I know there's people who just read Vertigo stuff and they don't read superhero stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way to draw some of those people into reading superhero book.
Maybe get totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting Deadman's on both. And when you said liaison, that's exactly what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Although I'm just really curious how they're going to, if at all, they're going to even talk about that, touch on that in some way.
I don't know.
So, you mentioned earlier to the retailers, being sworn to secrecy and all that about information. I did talk because I went to my comic book shop in Spokane to get my month's worth of comics, and I was talking to the guy that works there, and I'd asked him before when all this news came out. He actually texted me on my cell phone and said, "What do you think of this?" So we had a conversation over text about this, and so I wanted to get his feedback. Now that we're a few weeks after the announcement.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And yeah, at first when he first brought it up with me, and I asked him, "Well, what do you think?" And he had that same reaction, like, "Oh my God," and he thought. Or he said that he was afraid that this would be, as many people I've read online have said, that it would be a perfect jumping off point for DC Comics.
I don't believe it.
Not a jumping on point.
Yeah.
And so I brought that up and asked him what have people been saying that have been coming into the shop, and basically now he admitted too. He's like, at first I was like, oh my God, this is going to change everything for the worse. But then he as time has gone on, that's kind of dulled a little bit, and now he's thinking, much like I think we are, because we're talking about it.
Sure.
The implication is, people are talking about DC Comics now. Now, whether or not that leads to greater sales, especially long term, it remains to be seen, obviously. Right. But he's, specifically what he said to me was. I don't read any DC Comics right now, and I am looking forward to some DC Comics coming out. So he's speaking as someone who reads comics. He's not a fan necessarily like us. Mm-hmm. He's a retailer, but he reads things. He keeps up on it, but he does read things for enjoyment as well. Right. So that's where he's coming from. So, but a lot of people are coming in asking about it. So for him as a retailer, that's a great thing. And for us as fans, that's also a great thing. You get people coming in asking about what's going on with DC Comics, and that only helps comics, I think, in general, not just DC. So I think it's a positive thing. Of course, this may just be egg on DC's face in the end. Come September, October, maybe November-ish, then we'll know. We'll know what the reaction is going to be, and who knows, how many titles are going to out of the 52. That have been announced will continue on past issues 3 to 6.
They don't plan on it. They don't plan on some of those titles lasting.
Well,
They don't plan on some of those titles lasting 6 months. They've already got more. They already have more titles that they're working on in the backlog.
Sure, and
because part of their whole thing is sales. If you don't meet whatever a certain sales expectation is, that would be my dog.
Oh, that's staying in.
Jeez. Exactly. Yeah.
See what happens when you start talking about comic book sales? Animals start barking.
Well, it's because I get excited and then he gets excited. But I don't even know what I was talking about for sure now. Oh, that's pretty funny. But they don't plan on them. They don't plan on them lasting. They plan on cranking out new stuff.
Right. And of course that's from a business standpoint you have
so
to.
they can keep putting out new number ones.
Well, that's true. But I'm thinking along the lines of like the big books, Superman, Batman, that kind of stuff, and more so about the direction they're taking. If that's going to change based on the bad reviews, the lack of sales, etc.
Based on the books alone that are being released and whatnot, I don't think that this is going to bring in new comic book readers at all. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to bring somebody off the street who does not read comics to come and read these because they're number ones and whatnot in and of itself. And I went to my semi-local comic book store. It's not mine, but it was the only place I could find some boxes at. Anyway, and I'm a Snoopy guy, so I asked some questions there and whatnot, and they basically didn't think that anything that was coming was going to that they've talked about so far is going to bring in new readers, but what it's going to do is it's going to open the door to people who are like solely Marvel readers to pick up some titles they may have not picked up otherwise. That DC was going to have the opportunity to take a piece of the pie or a bigger piece of the pie that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
And to some degree, that's kind of what I think. How I think it's going to be too is that so far what's been done is not going to. There's not enough has happened to bring in new comic book readers. Stuff that's happening that's going to bring in comic book readers to the DC universe who may have not have been comic book readers to the DC universe. This is an opportunity to do that. But I don't see it as an opportunity to bring in. Now, as they get closer to it, will they do more media stuff that's more just out there? When they actually do the Cartoon Network thing, where basically it's going to be a weekly or monthly magazine where they're going to be on with DC Nation talking about what's coming out. I hear that while they're running some of their shows, they're going to run a ticker that runs along that talks about some of the comics and stuff and whatnot. Now, that stuff may actually bring in new audience to the comic book world in general. But just this all going to number one, I don't think is going to bring somebody off the street who isn't already into comic books. There isn't that kind of media talk. I don't think.
Well, other than the initial, this is part of the problem. The initial announcement coming out of USA Today, that's a big national newspaper.
Sure.
So there's some exposure there, but then again, it's a few months before the actual event, and
right.
and come September, those same people who are not, like you say, they're not involved in comics in general, are they going to remember that? No. Probably not. So DC has to do something big, a big splashy thing again at the end of August, maybe the beginning of September, at the latest, obviously, to get people talking about it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have to do the advertising, and that's why I was disappointed. You asked me on Twitter about the staying at the end of Green Lantern and seeing the ad, right? Yeah. And I did, and it was.
Yeah, there was an ad, but my God, you had to sit through every piece of credit. 15 minutes later to see the ad.
And for 5 seconds of, hey, you want to read more about Green Lantern? Here's some old stories in trade paperback form. That was basically it.
Yeah, and granted, the showing of Green Lantern I went to, there wasn't a ton of people in there, but it was me, my family, and I think 2 other people that were still in the theater when that ad ran. And the only reason those 2 people were in the theater is because they were waiting for the lights to come up because they were needed to be able to see better to walk to get out of the theater. I'm not joking. I'm not making a joke about it. I mean, it's funny, but I'm just saying we're the only ones that hung around for it. And the only reason we hung around for it is because I had heard there was an ad and I wanted to see what it was.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have hung around. I don't need to know who the 15th grip on Scene X was.
It was a good thing that that I knew about the ad, because I did not know about the little bit.
Little thing after the first initial credits. They were in the fancy credits.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
That was. So I'm glad I stayed because of that ad.
Yeah, not to get off on the movie right now, but yeah, that little chunk made me more excited than the rest of the movie did.
Yes. Well,
If they make that movie,
yeah.
that's going to be wild.
It's funny you say that. I was just reading their Newsarama put out their list of the top 10 best superhero movies ever, and I was reading through that, and a couple things they said, or a couple movies that they talked about, or they put in the list were sequels. The Spider-Man 2,
right,
the second Batman movie, the latest version of Batman movies. And what they talked about was how the second movie, in many ways, is superior to the first movie because they get all that origin story crap out of the way, and they can focus on the adventure, the next chapter, the
right.
really meaty story for the character. So. Yeah, I think too with Green Lantern, if we get a second movie out of it, that second movie will be much more awesome than the first one was, if you want to call it awesome. I enjoyed it a lot, but it wasn't the greatest movie. I still think X-Men First Class was a better superhero movie out of the stuff that's come out just recently.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you're missing out.
Probably.
It's probably still around. You could go see it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Just pick up the family and go.
I don't go to the movies that often, so.
You don't go to every superhero movie that comes out?
No.
What?
Yeah, I know. I should.
That's an event.
They definitely are at the top of my list of things. I should go to the movies. I can always find something better to do, I guess, than go to the movies.
See, every time a superhero movie comes out, it's like Father's Day for me because I'm so excited for it, and the girls are excited to go see it with me, and we just have a good time for a couple hours at the movie theater. So
my problem isn't with the movies. My problem is with the movie theaters and everybody else that's in the movie theater watching the movie.
Yeah, there's that.
See that. I'm a grumpy old man, so those people sometimes wreck the show for me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, when do you normally go to the movies? When you do go to movies, do you go the matinees during the weekend, or do you go at night, or what?
I try to go to. That's what I try to do. I try to go to the Sunday matinee because it has the least amount of people there.
Yeah. See, that's what I do too.
Right. There's still somebody.
You would, if you had private showings, you would have a different attitude about it. Is that what you're saying?
You're right. I'd probably go see more of them.
So you need to win that lottery so you can buy out the theater.
There you go.
I love every week how you post to Twitter how you've yet again not won the lottery.
Yeah. Of course, do you think I'm really going to tweet if I did win the lottery?
I would hope not. I would hope.
Hell no.
I would hope you would tell me, but
I'm just going to disappear off the planet. No, I don't know.
Hey, you could go if you win the lottery. You could go to. So I went to the comic book shop in Spokane. Actually, had the owner has 2 locations now.
Right.
One on Division there that we've been to, and there's also one in the mall.
Oh, uh-huh.
Have you been to that one?
No, I have not.
Okay, so he recently moved the store down by is it Barnes and Noble that's there at Northtown.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
At the Northtown Mall. Anyway, so he's moved it down there, and it's a much bigger space, and there's a lot more stuff than before. Because before it was mostly just a few bits of merchandise in one corner, some shirts and hoodies towards the front of the store, and then the rest of the walls were covered with trades.
Right.
So now he has a lot more room, and so I went down there last night. Because I was told they had a bunch of overstock comics that they were selling for 50 cents to $1.
Oh.
Yeah, that's part of the 20 that I got for $1.
Right.
Anyway, so I wanted to check that out, and I go there. As I'm coming into the store, they have this display case sitting there, and there's an issue of Superman from the early 1940s. I can't remember what issue it was now.
Uh-huh.
$850.
Nice.
Yeah. And then there was another issue of what's it called, Sensation Comics that Wonder Woman used to be in when she first debuted? Yeah, that was there too. Man. Just $850. I'm like, "Oh my god." See, you could buy things like that if you won the lottery.
Yeah, I could be stupid.
How is that stupid?
Well, yeah. No, yeah. Well, see, I'd have to avoid all that kind of stuff, right? I wouldn't have millions of dollars for very long, would I?
That's true. That's true.
There are way too many
Oh,
toys
come on.
out there.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that you would not want to buy like Action Comics #1 or Fantastic Four #1, something like that, just to say I own this thing. You don't
Depending
want
on
that?
how big of a lottery I won, I'd want to go bigger than that.
Oh, okay. Bigger than in general, or bigger than that in comics?
Bigger than that in comics.
What's bigger than something like that?
Somehow getting some level of ownership of a company.
Oh. Why, you are ambitious.
Dang straight. You know. So, I'm not to say that not to say that it wouldn't be cool to own some of those comics and whatnot, to own some of the classics and stuff. That would be awesome. But how much more awesome would it be if you could be one of those stakeholders in DC or Marvel or whatever?
Yeah.
Then you could have your name pasted up all the time as being one of those jackasses that keep screwing with their comics and whatnot, right?
So you'd want to become a majority stakeholder in DC or Marvel, huh?
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Or would that take the fun out of it?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I mean, right now, we're fans. We love the stuff. We love talking about it, critiquing it, promoting it because we love it so much. But to be actually involved in it, making the decisions that changes these things, whether you think it's for the good of the character or the company in general, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's like or going behind the scenes, or going into the kitchen when someone, a great chef is making something. You probably don't want to see all that stuff. You probably don't want to be involved in that. You just want to enjoy the end result.
Yeah, that's probably true. Still sounds good though.
It does. Yeah. If I won a lot of money in the lottery, I would consider doing something like that too. So.
But then I always go back and forth. With that whole thing, where these guys are saying, "Well, I've been a fan for forever, and that's why I'm doing this and whatnot," and I do it for the love. And sometimes I wonder, should fans be the people that are in control of stuff?
Oh.
I mean, look at all the stuff that happens when they let fans vote on things and whatnot.
Yeah.
What kind of decisions get made?
Okay, they should never, ever, ever, ever do that again in comics. I hate that.
Do what?
Like the American Idol style call in to vote thing.
Oh yeah.
God.
Let's kill off another Robin. Let's do it.
See,
you participated in that, didn't you?
No, I couldn't.
Why not?
Why couldn't I? I remember the buzz about it. And
I wasn't reading Batman at the time. I remember it being a big old whoo, and I don't remember why I didn't participate. I can't remember.
I don't remember. I was reading it at the time.
But I figured you'd be people that would.
And I was waiting. I think I was waiting to find out how I could vote.
Was it a call in with a touch-tone phone or something like that?
Yes, it was.
All living in the rotary world.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I don't. How old do you sound?
Yeah, I know. But I don't remember ever
What's
seeing.
that?
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing the number at the time that it was supposed to be that you could call in to vote. And I remember being very upset that it's like I kept waiting for it and I kept waiting for it. And then
how would you have voted? Do you remember?
To not kill him. As much as I now hate the character Jason Todd, I would have voted no.
But do you hate him, the character now? Did you hate him when he was Robin back then?
No, not so much. In fact, I rather enjoyed Jim Starlin's run on the.
Well, right. He was a different take on. I mean, he was pleasantly different than Dick Grayson. Not that I got anything against Dick Grayson as Robin. I don't.
Yeah.
But he was pleasantly different.
Yes.
And they addressed that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed that too. But yeah, So speaking of Jason Todd, so there's that. Are you getting, what's the one that he's doing, that he's in? The new DC title?
That I'm planning on getting?
Yeah.
Red Hood and the Outlaws?
Yeah, Red Hood and the Outlaws. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, as I wrote, I wish Jason Todd would just die. Die already.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of him.
He already did that.
I know, they should do it again and make it permanent.
Well, I kind of like the Red Hood character.
I am reading.
But I don't think about him being Jason Todd. I just think about him being the Red Hood character. And he's fun.
Okay, so are you getting Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
so that last storyline is with Jason Todd,
Right.
and I read the first issue of that, and
That was what, issue 23, I think.
yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is. I have 24 now to read. Good.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that to some degree. But I don't know. I'm so sick of Jason Todd being thrown out there as the antithesis of Batman. I know we already have characters like that. We don't need yet another one.
Well, that's Judd Winnick writing him.
And I know Judd Winnick
Because he wasn't really written that way, was he? When Grant Morrison was writing Batman and Robin, would you say? Back when he went kind of bonkers there, and he finally defeats him and puts him in Arkham.
Oh wow, I'd forgotten about that. Oh, isn't that where we find out, at least through Morrison's eyes, that Batman made Jason dye his hair black to be more like Dick?
Yeah, that was all kind of stupid.
I actually like that.
I went, oh, that's dumb. And just kind of blocked out of the mic.
That was probably the one Jason Todd moment where it's like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I can see why he hates Batman so much.
Because he made me dye my hair.
No, I'm just sick of that character.
Then he went on to have a blonde girl as Robin for a while. Oh no, that didn't exist. Never mind. I forget.
What'd you say? He had a blonde what?
A blonde girl as
Robin
for a while.
That was
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
No.
Yeah, that was Stephanie.
I know it was.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying.
I'm just saying that the DC universe, there's people in the DC universe who don't want to acknowledge that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, I totally missed that whole storyline. I knew that was coming, and I thought, oh, they're trying to just tie into the whole Dark Knight thing, and then the next thing I knew, she was dead, and then she's back.
That was during the era that during the time I wasn't reading comics. But I remember going into a grocery store that still had spinner racks.
What?
And yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And it was on the rack, and I really thought about, the fact I was, darn near dead broke. I thought about, oh man, gosh, my kid doesn't need diapers. I should pick this up.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. But yeah, needless to say, my kid had diapers, and I didn't read it, but it was interesting. Just the idea of it. It's like, well, that seems cool. Mm-hmm. No idea, but anyway, funny stuff.
What were we talking about before?
Before what? A while ago, we were talking about the fact that, that we were talking about the titles that we're planning on getting or not getting.
Oh yeah, we kind of got away from that.
And then we were counting down the people that are in the Justice League. We got as far as Deadman, and then really digressed off into other things.
That's okay. Well, it'll be a digressive show. So what did you think? So we talking about Green Lantern, the movie as well. What did you think of that in general?
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't a stellar movie. There were lots of chunks that I enjoyed. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as what the critics were, having big fits against. But I think the critics just don't understand superhero movies and the joy of a superhero movie, right? Mm-hmm. And superheroes in general. I mean, there are lots of comic books that aren't great, but if you're a fan of the genre, they're fun to read, at least in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I can go to a superhero movie and enjoy it, whether it was stinky or not for moments. Not that I thought Green Lantern was stinky. There are parts of it I was kind of like, oh, come on, why? Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
But, one of the biggest ones that most time I think about it after I've watched the movie, but I was thinking about this as I'm watching the movie, where Stirno shows up and basically tells Hal Jordan that he's no Avansor, or whatever that guy's name is, right?
Yeah.
Basically beats the crap out of him. So why does Hal produce a sword to fight him? If he's all about, because obviously later on he produces machine guns and whatnot. Why would a sword be the first thing that you would pull out, fight a guy? Mm-hmm. Why?
Because they wanted to have the line of Sinestro say, a sword, how typical, or how typically human, or something like that.
Why would he know about swords? Why would Stern know about swords?
I know. I agree.
The whole thing just bugged the crap out of me.
Yeah, it was an odd moment.
I would have thought his reaction would basically be, other than, it would be boring and a repeat, would be like his reaction was for the
giant fist.
The giant fist.
or
That's what I was waiting for.
or why not just blast him with a green energy beam?
Right.
You know, that would make a lot more
Well,
sense to me.
but I understand when the giant fist worked because he's projecting out, punching these guys, and so that's what would. So I expected to be something more along those lines.
Mm,
A sword, really? A sword?
yeah, you're right. That didn't make much sense.
Well, no, not when later on he's using, a chain gun kind of a thing.
Okay, so
the sword works perfect for Alan Scott, for
yeah, that's true.
a completely different Green Lantern. That look all works. I don't know. I just was to me that was the part of it. That was the one part of the movie that I just kind of went, oh man, this is dumb. I love the fact that Carol knew that he was Hal Jordan almost instantly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was good.
Face to face, because I mean, come on.
Well, you know what happened? I went to see this with Greg, and that scene played out. And Greg, so we're in the theater. There's not that many people. There was more than maybe you've indicated when you went to your movie. So it was maybe half full at most. It was half full. But we were sitting there, and that scene played out. And Greg, out loud, I mean loud enough for everybody to hear, it goes, "Thank you."
Definitely.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was good.
There's one other scene. There's like, why is this scene here? The whole scene where he shows his best friend his suit and whatnot. What was the point of that scene? What was the point of that whole?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Other than to give Tom more screen time, I don't know.
Is that what the guy's name was?
Yeah, that's Pieface from the 60s. Yeah, his name is Tom. Well, unless I'm totally missing something, I swear I heard him call him Tom, and that's the character's name in the comics.
Although, I don't read Green Lantern.
So
there you go.
But Tom in the comics is a mechanic. So, but this guy obviously was not. He was a computer guy.
Some other, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I should probably look up the credits, and so if I'm wrong, I apologize. But at the same time too, they could have done this elsewhere. I agree, but that scene also was like, he's like he does the flick thing, and his suit comes on, and Tom's like impressed, and you get that line, it's like, this is so cool. I know, right? And
yeah.
As a fan, I was like, yeah, it's damn cool. What are you talking about? Sure.
So is that what it was? It was for us fan-based people to go have a moment of going, yeah.
I think so. But you're right. They could have taken that out. Oh yeah. So the scene at the very beginning where he's doing the test flight, and then he gets up there, he beats the drone, and he's falling down, and then we get the flashback.
Sure.
Which I understand you kind of need that. You need that pathos for the character, but it was just I don't know. I didn't like the way it was integrated. It just seemed like just tossed in there and he freezes, and I think it was just too soon in the introduction of the character to get something like that. But they also had to get that in there for later, so it was it's a balancing act. I just didn't care for it. And another thing I didn't care for, you talked about the machine gun earlier. Which is a cool visual, I agree. But do energy constructs need to actually eject bullet casings?
Well, I think the whole chain gun thing is stupid. So
you didn't like that?
No.
Oh, okay.
The occasional fist and just blast work for me. Lots of silly constructs, whatever. I understand in the comic book why they visually did it, because it gives you something else to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
So what did you think of the stuff on Oa with the core, with showing the various alien races and the Owens?
Well, that looks cool.
Yeah.
I like the Guardians. I read that you weren't a real big fan of the way their heads looked and stuff.
Yeah, I just thought the CGI looked a little muddied.
Well, let's not. I mean, that's my opinion. That's the biggest problem with the movie all the way around was the CGI. Mm-hmm. Some places it was really sharp and really interesting, and other places it looked like they used the budget that they would have used, 5-6 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the biggest problem I had is some of the stuff looked really cool, really sharp, really neat. Obviously, that's what they spent the money at. I mean, I don't know. And then other things was like, okay, whatever. It wasn't.
But yeah,
The movie's okay. I mean, I don't, I'm not jumping up and down. I wouldn't rush out and tell everybody that they need to go watch the movie, but I didn't think it was, as sucky as what Rotten Tomatoes put it out to be.
oh
either.
God, yeah. Every once in a while I still look at the Rotten Tomatoes rating. I'm like, really? That low still? But that's based on critics' reactions. And they obviously, like you say, they don't get it. I think to some degree, they don't know how to read it or how to appreciate it for what it is. So,
Right.
So when you say you wouldn't tell anybody to go out and watch it, do you include other comic book fans? So if you knew some guy,
No. Matter of fact, when I was at the comic book store 2 days ago, there was a guy coming in, hadn't watched it yet. And I told him to go see it. But he's a DC and a comic book fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a decent movie to watch. It's not stinky bad. It's got fun moments. It's got moments as comic book fans you go, yeah, about and whatnot. At least for comic book fans our age, I don't know about comic book fans that are much younger than us, because they get exposed to all kinds of stuff that, of course, we never had. I mean, I still live in the world of where we didn't have any of this stuff as a kid. So anytime any of this kind of stuff comes out, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Anytime a new cartoon comes out with superheroes in it, I'm like, man, this would have been awesome when I was a kid.
Yeah. Could you imagine if we had Justice League Unlimited back when we were kids?
Oh, holy cow, it's been awesome. But so of course that's a filter I have. I know I have that. As far as when I look, see, or hear that this stuff's happening, it still excites me a bunch. It still tickles me pink if I'm walking through some sort of a normal store, and there's superhero paraphernalia on sale. Yeah. It's like, whoa, I think I have to buy it all, which I, was not to. But, man, I remember when I scored my first Batman shirt where it was just the Batman symbol. Oh, man, I still own it. And that's probably been, 18 years ago. I don't wear it anymore because it's falling apart, but I still own it because it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's as ooh and ah to the younger audience, because they've got a lot more stuff to judge it against.
That's true.
So yes, comic book fans, I would tell if you're a DC fan, you have any interest at all in Green Lantern, it's fun. It's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally agree with that. What are you looking forward to the new Green Lantern animated series on Cartoon Network at all?
I'll watch it. I'm not a Green Lantern fan.
I know.
I mean, he doesn't hold a whole lot of interest in me. I know as much about him as I do is because, they ran that great run where Green Arrow was with him all the time, and I've collected those back issues and read those. My only interest in Green Lantern is because he's buddies with, Green Arrow. So that's where all my perspective from the guy comes from.
Okay. I'm just excited just to have some other DC animated series.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think there needs to be more. I think, there needs to be more of that kind of stuff. Because that's where new readers come from.
Yes.
When we talk about things with new readers, that's where the new readers are going to come from. That's what's going to get them interested in stuff. My 13-year-old watched the cartoon before we ever read any comics. And I know people who watched, the Teen Titans Go when it was out, kids that didn't realize there was a comic. And then once they realized there was a comic, they started buying that. And then now they buy other comics. But it all started from that.
See, now,
what? Isn't that a comic book?
Yeah. Isn't that an obvious wasted opportunity for DC that they don't run ads at the ends of these things?
Oh, yeah.
Just something to let people know, hey, you like Teen Titans Go? Hey, look, we've got the comic over here, and then by the way,
Action Titans Go at the time, and we've got this,
and we got this other thing called Teen Titans that you might be interested in as well, if you are inclined for that kind of stuff. I don't understand why they have Warner Brothers Entertainment behind them. I don't understand why they don't have a budget to get this stuff out there. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all changing. I think that's what this all is.
Yeah.
I think that, they have a budget, and the budget comes from someplace besides their comic book budget to help promote all this stuff. As my understanding is, they got their lump of money, pay the creators and make the books. There's some other lump of money out there to promote all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, did I think that the Green Lantern movie was a good promotion of the comic book? Nah, I don't know.
Well,
I don't see people going and watching that movie and going, man. Well, kids might.
kids might, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So I plan on asking the comic book guy if the guy at the comic book shop, I should say. I hate saying the comic book guy. So I plan on asking him when I was up there yesterday if he had gotten anybody coming in asking about Green Lantern comics because they saw the movie. So I'm just curious if there's any traffic being generated at all. Even if it's just in Spokane, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check in with him about that. So we've been talking for a little while. Do you think we should wrap it up?
Sure, we can. You know me, I can go on forever and ever.
I know.
So.
I know.
I mean, heck, we didn't even get through the whole Justice League, let alone the rest of the titles we might have talked about. So.
I know. It's getting that. It's after 11. I gotta go mow that damn lawn before it gets too hot.
Okay.
And that's episode 6. I wanted to thank my daughter Brittany for providing the theme at the beginning of the show. I asked her to do this for me. She's a music major, actually a musical theater major, but she likes to create her own music, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity for her to do something like that, and got me a royalty-free podcast theme. So let me know what you think of it. I kind of like it. It's got an 80s vibe to it that I really like. And, my daughter created it, so that's cool in and of itself. Don't forget to check out Longbox Review at longboxreview.wordpress.com. And we're also on Twitter at Longbox Review, and we're also on Facebook. Thanks for listening.